Hi, so I had a very interesting experience last night. As you may know, I have been trying to get a flatmate over at my place in order to take up the other room. And everyone who's come over has just kind of not really vibed with me, but this person seemed alright, so I thought, okay, I'll get you over for kind of a second interview before I see if the property managers are going to be okay with you. So there's an air mattress in the second room. I've also got the couch. It was about 8 p.m. by the time that he'd come over, so I thought, hey, why not? Let's just put something on the TV. He was interested in playing on the Xbox, but the Xbox, I have not been a console gamer in a very, very long time. I play everything on PC, basically, or in real life. I like to touch cards, I like to play tactically with cards, and so we couldn't get the Xbox and the TV to sync up. I don't know if it's a TV problem or if it's an Xbox problem, but it was kind of just like bugging the both of us. So I was like, well, have you ever played Uno? And he said, what's Uno? And I thought, what kind of man doesn't know what Uno is? So I was like, well, I only have one Uno deck with me, and it is one of the more evil forms of Uno, and I like to play Uno with all of the rules. So you are going to have an interesting time learning if we play with this deck and play like that. And he just thought, what of it, let's just do it. So we played Uno Flip together, and I ended up winning, and then I was like, okay, well, I'll get the normal playing cards, and so we played a couple of rounds of blackjack, and I won both times, and then I thought, well, what else have I got sitting up here? I'm not about to teach this guy how to play Yu-Gi-Oh! So I said to him, do you want me to do a tarot reading for you? So I did a tarot reading for him. And by that time, it was getting kind of late, so he asked, do you have anything I can drink? And I was like, really, I only have coffee in the house at the moment. And he's like, oh, coffee's fine. And I was like, okay, I'll make you a cup of coffee. I'm going to go to bed soon, because my sleep schedule, aside from work, revolves around streams that I want to watch, which is often at times that I'm not typically going to be awake, so I might go to sleep early or take a nap, and then I'll wake up at 3 a.m, 4 a.m, whenever, in order to be able to watch what I want to watch. And so I go to bed. And given that, keyboard is noisy, mouse is noisy. Let me just make sure that I'm not actually going to pause my recording with my mouse. Where is my mouse? There. So now you should be over. So he can hear that because he's on the couch in the other room, like watching his own stuff. And I am thinking, well, I'm very obviously not asleep yet, but I'm trying to find something that's about 4 hours long, or a live stream that's going to last for about 4 hours long, so that I can go to sleep to the sounds of that, because that's what I do. Anyway, after about 20 minutes he comes in and he's like, oh, I thought you were going to sleep. And I was like, yeah, well, I had to wash my face, do my skincare, brush my teeth, and now I'm looking for something to watch while I go to sleep. And he's like, mind if I just, chill and talk with you for a bit? And he was kind of interested in alternative ways that he could earn money once his current contract is up. And I said to him, I'll just apply to temp agencies. That's what my ex used to do, and she used to get jobs all the time through that kind of stuff very easily. And then he kind of noticed, paid a bit more attention to the fact that I've got a ring light, a camera, and a microphone set up, and he was like, what's that all about? And I was like, well, it's very rare that people will actually make money off this unless you're doing adult content online. But my total setup, computer aside, cost me I don't know, I think only about $500 between the mic, camera, and ring light. So it's not that expensive to get started if you're just using beginner equipment. And so he was quite interested in how all that works. And then I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go to sleep now. Good night. And then about an hour later, he comes in again with another question, and it's like, I've showed you where everything is, man. Please, I need to sleep. And he just kind of had no, definitely not going to take him in as a flatmate. No way. He had no sense of boundaries of, my door is closed, I've said I'm going to sleep, my lights are off, anything you see glowing is a computer screen because I am going to sleep watching things because that is how I sleep. And it was kind of frustrating. Anyway, I did not end up getting any proper sleep until about 5 a.m. I woke up today at 1 p.m. in the afternoon, having missed part of what I wanted to watch. Thankfully, I had no other obligations this morning, or else that would have really pissed me off because I would have just rolled over and turned off my alarm and gone back to sleep. But I also woke up and thought, he did say he was getting an Uber last time he popped his head in, and that he was just waiting for it to arrive. So I'll just make sure that he actually got an Uber and left, because he was he was an interesting guy. He seemed like a good-hearted guy, but cultural norms and differences, and especially me being quite an introvert, like I need my own space. I really need to have time where I can just spend time on my own, talk to myself, talk to a camera, play some games, watch some streams, watch some of the weirder side of YouTube, and decompress, because I do sometimes get overwhelmed with stuff. And I'm starting to think that maybe it's a better idea just for me to continue living alone, even though it is quite lonely. I don't know if I'm meant to live with people, because my lifestyle is a little bit, it's a little bit weird. Well, anyway, yes, he's left, and he left like the key that I lent him if he needed to go out and like take rubbish to the rubbish room on the bench and stuff. So he was, in the end, an honest guy. It was just that he did come from a culture where I guess they don't really respect women as much, and given that I generally, especially in my relationships, take on the masculine role, despite how I present myself, I am very much the more dominant person in a relationship. I was kind of getting frustrated at the fact that he just thought he could pop his head in and be like, oh yeah, no, I'm just waiting for an Uber now, or oh yeah, no, I just want to have a bit of a talk because I can't sleep yet. Well, yeah, motherfucker, you just drank a really strong coffee, that's on you. So that was how that went, and just overall a really, really bizarre experience. And I mean, if he does start uploading videos, he might have an audience for it, because he's a bit of a strange dude. But I mean, all people who do some form of content creation generally are. I mean, look at every live streamer. Basically all of them have either ADHD or autism or some other undisclosed mental illness. Very few of them are completely sane. Then I started thinking, well, there's some incredibly smart people on YouTube. What about the garage scientists? And then I thought about Niall Red, and I was like, no, definitely not. And then I thought, well, what about some of the food content people that I watch? Because I watch a lot of food content. I started thinking through the cast of, say, Sorted Food, and I was like, well, Ben is an alcoholic. Kush is absolutely insane. There's something in Barry's head that's not quite right. Mike has meltdowns at the smallest thing during some talent challenges. Jamie seems like, the sanest of them all. He's a token straight guy out of the cast. So I was token straight guy. I mean, like, as in terms of in terms of being sane. I think I said straight instead of sane, but I meant token sane guy. But he may also just be covering up depression with humour, which I know that a lot of people do, which is why a lot of successful comedians are actually heavily depressed and or do have substance abuse issues. So I was like, what about historical content makers? And they're like, nah, you have to have a hyperfixation on that in order to be able to get so into specific areas of clothing. And then I started thinking about, well, what about survivalist creators? And then I thought, no, these guys go into the woods alone and like build their own shelters, and yeah, that's amazing, but that's also kind of insane. And like, no shade to them, because I'm fucking insane myself, but I think in order to actually be an interesting person on camera in something that isn't pre-scripted, for example, I'm just rambling right now, I have no idea what is about to come out of my mouth next, you need to have something special going on there, or something that's not completely conventional, because I talk to normal people in my daily life who don't have a neurodivergency or a mental illness or previous trauma, or are just massive attention whores, which I think my biggest problem is that I'm just a massive attention whore. But their topics of conversation are so normal and boring and stuff. And then you start talking to people who think more like you, and you've gone through 7 topics in the space of 5 minutes, but you're following along and you're kind of vibing with that. And he didn't quite seem to go along with the flow of how I communicate, which, because this was the second time I was seeing him, it wasn't more of a, so this would be the bathroom that you'd mainly use, this would be the bedroom, that would be yours solely, I don't particularly use the living area, and you're free to get a dining room table and chairs if you want to, because I usually will eat sitting at my desk. And we would, oh, and yeah, this is like my outdoor area, and also this is like the library, this is the pool, this is the gym. Yeah, this is basically my entire complex. This is what you'd have access to if you were to join me on the lease here. And he seemed really impressed by all that. And he comes over the next time, I'm like, okay, I'm going to let my guard down a bit, because I'm going to be living with someone, they need to know how I actually kind of am. And I do tend to try and keep my room as my own space. So the fact that he would just kind of knock on the door while I was trying to sleep and then crack it open and start talking, and at one point like sat on the end of my bed, and I was just thinking, no, you that's not something that I'm okay with. And it was just, yeah, because I had started to show more of myself, I think he thought it was more okay to show more of himself, which turned out, well, a negative in his favour, because not the right person to be a flatmate with me. But I think I might just stick with my, collection of skulls. My creepy doll, who is called Mother. She is a doll that I made as a prop for Mahotsuka no Yakusoku cosplay. And yeah, my figures and the voices on the internet, which, I mean, you're all real people, I'm sure. Some of you, I don't know, maybe you're all AI, maybe we're all living in a simulation right now. Who actually knows? But it is getting late for me right now, and I need to start winding down. I actually need to eat dinner. It's 10 p.m. and I haven't yet eaten dinner because I'm stupid like that, and I woke up really late and then I forgot that I was meant to eat dinner, and then I went out and I did groceries because I thought I should actually probably do groceries if I'm going to be eating, because I don't feel like any of the food that I actually have sitting around at the moment. And so I went out and I did groceries by the time I got home, it was nearing 8 p.m. and then I was like, okay, well, I'm just gonna basically vlog a bit about this strange experience, because truly to me, and last night I was just listening to people do deep dives into alien stage lore while trying to sleep. And they say, oh, you can leave the speakers on if you want, like it won't bother me. And I'm thinking, no, you already probably think that I'm a complete and utter weirdo for being like, oh yeah, here's the Xbox, but I haven't played it in so long that I don't actually know how many updates it's going to do or any of that. Peering into my bedroom and seeing a collection of skulls, a whole bunch of anime figures. Well, not a whole bunch, because that's hardly a portion of my collection, but I didn't bring them all over with me when I moved countries. They're sitting in my old bedroom at my mum's, probably gathering dust, and really I should sell some of them off because that would be a good idea, but I don't trust her to box them up, so I need to wait until I travel back there, because I'm trying to live a more minimalist lifestyle. My bedroom used to be rather maximalist, and that was fine when I was a teen, because every teenager wanted to have posters on their walls and merchandise everywhere and all of that kind of stuff. And now I'm just kind of like, I want only the life possessions that make me happy in the moment, which sometimes is a giant light up skull, sometimes is a handful of number collections. And I do have a number collection of the numbers cards from Yu-Gi-Oh! Zeo era, but a small figure collection, some art books, and a variety of different cards. As I said, I don't even use the TV in my living room. I very, very occasionally will use it, and that's when I have people over. So, yeah. But this has been a very, very rambly rant, and I think I covered about, I don't know, 4 different topics that I didn't intend to cover, because I was meant to just give an update about the bird and then be like, yeah, maybe actually having a flatmate isn't for me, because if there are going to be people around the house I can't stand, which is really, really funny, because I used to live in hospitality, work in hospitality, and when I worked in hospitality, had to share a kitchen with people when I was, doing food service. And so you would think that I'd be fine with sharing a kitchen with someone. Even if I'm making a cup of coffee and someone steps foot inside the kitchen, I get like angsty. I don't like it. I don't like sharing a kitchen. That's my space when I'm cooking. It can be your space when you're cooking, as long as you clean up the sink and make sure that your dishes are tidy and wipe down all the surfaces and stuff. So yeah, I don't think, unless, and I'm not intending to get in another relationship, but unless I do at some point, again, I'm only in my 30s, so there is still a possibility that I will end up in a relationship with someone. I think I'm just best living alone for now. But yeah, there's good security protection on the building that I live in, so unless you have at least 2 different ways of being able to get through the doors, you're not going to be able to enter my property. And if you are, kudos to you. I mean, if you're going to come and kill me in Minecraft, come and kill me in Minecraft, if you manage to get inside. So that's a challenge. Actually, that's not a challenge. I'm not asking anyone to actually come and kill me, but I'm just saying I feel very safe living here and not having anyone else live with me. It's just a little bit lonely sometimes, which is why I walk around the house talking to myself, which probably is one of the reasons why, like, when people are walking through areas where they can slightly hear through my door if I'm in the kitchen, they probably think that I'm kind of insane. But as I said, we're all kind of insane out here. What millennial has actually managed to keep their sanity throughout all that we've lived through? I am jealous of the older generations who the only things that they have to worry about is as they get older, they're gonna get like dementia and Alzheimer's and all of those kinds of things, but they come with having lived a full life rather than having a life where you used to be addicted to gacha games, rhythm games to the point where it helped destroy one of your wrists, and now you spend sometimes 12 to 16 hours of your day, if you have no other obligations, watching content on YouTube because you don't really have much else to do. So you'll have like YouTube up on one screen and on the other screen you're playing card games, puzzles, GeoGuessr against strangers online because I can't focus on only one thing at once generally. I need to be able to have multiple things to stimulate my mind, or else I just get really, really bored and think, oh, well, that's sad. So that's basically my update. I already said that I was going to finish it, but then I got distracted again and started talking again, but that's okay. So, good night and goodbye, or if it's morning or daytime or whatever when you're watching this. Just have a good one and cheers, bro. Broskies, however you want to be referred to. Sis, I don't know. Whatever, goodbye.